What's going on, everybody? It's your favorite dating coach, Elliot Scott, and here, as you can see by the title below, we're going to be talking about a second email request. I think this one's a really good one because of the concept. Let me read it, and then you'll see. I'll tell you why I think it's a great one, okay? First off, Elliot, I love your straightforward advice. It helps me out a lot. Thank you. Thank you. Well, you're welcome, actually. I'm thanking you. You're welcome. I've been dating and keeping my options open, and I have a huge, she emphasizes huge here, huge crush on this guy that I haven't been able to connect with. I found out that he was dating this new girl, and they fucked on the first date. They met on a dating app, went out on a date, had sex that night, and now they're in a relationship. I am utterly confused by this. I thought guys usually pursue relationships with women that didn't give in too soon. I don't want him to think that I'm spreading my legs on the first go, but now the way I view him is kind of tainted by it. Are guys like this worth crushing over, or should I just cross him off my list for good? Okay. Now, here's the beautiful thing I like about this email. A lot of women, when they read my stuff or they listen to other dating coaches or just common sense, they're like, oh, if you put out early, you're screwed. If you put out early, you're done for. If you put out early, he doesn't have to work for it. And that is true, but it comes down to context, okay? I know plenty of guys, including myself, who have dated women who I have slept with in the very beginning. But the difference between you and that girl, and I don't want to get bashed for saying this, but she met his requirements. She's dateable to him, and not that. So that's one term of the context. The other term of the context, I would argue, would be that maybe this guy is actually looking for a relationship. I always tell women to stay on the safe end and to build desire, build sexual attention, build mystery, and make the guy work for it. Not too much, because again, if he's going to work too much for it, he's just going to get on a dating app, talk to somebody else, and get with them. Okay? So you don't want to make a guy work for it too much. You have to tell, or a good way to tell is by how much he's actually working. Make the guy jump through loops, right? If he keeps on jumping through loops, okay. If he stops jumping through loops or he starts to pull back, you're doing too much, okay? Or you're making him do too much. It comes down to value. Or what they call a margin of error. Like, I'm only going to do it's literally no different than something being too cheap or being too expensive on the market, okay? If you want a new phone and the phone's $2,000 and you don't think the phone's worth $2,000, you're not going to buy the phone, no matter how nice the phone is, okay? But if there's a $1,000 phone that's good for the price, okay, for $1,000, it's price-wise, it's $1,000, but it's better than $1,000, I'm going to take advantage of that, okay? This is no different. You can only make a guy work so much, to the point where he doesn't even think it's worth doing. And that worth is based on your value. Now, with this guy, the thing is, she was talking to a guy who probably likes her in terms of relationship. He sees himself with her. They probably have a good time. They probably get along well, to the point where sleeping together is just icing on the cake. See, men already put women in categories. Like this is no joke. The first second I see you, I'm scanning you. I'm like, okay, you're attractive. And then when you open your mouth, I determine, okay, I would actually date this girl. Okay, based on all that I just scanned and the fact that maybe I'm looking or not looking for a relationship. I guarantee with this guy, unless this is one of those things where this other girl would call me and say that, hey, this guy did this. Maybe that this guy is moving fast. And even though they're in a relationship, he might have buyer's remorse and they might break up and he might pull away and regret it and things like that. But let's just say that doesn't happen. This girl met a guy who is attracted to her. She has value, so it doesn't matter whether she sleeps with him in the beginning or not, because he sees her as a dateable option anyway. And just because she slept with him doesn't mean she's not making him work for it again or work for other things, right? I mean, so they're not at the stage where I have to work and you have to work and things like that. If it's a first date and the chemistry was great and they had sex and they're in a relationship right now, it's one of two things. It's either moving too fast or they're just two people who really like each other and want to be in a relationship. So never assume that sleeping too early with a guy is crushes your chances, because it doesn't if, here's the caveat, if it's the right guy. If it's a guy who's actually wanting a relationship. A lot of women who watch my videos and a lot of women who call me, you're talking about men who aren't really looking for a relationship, or who have a lot of options so they're not wanting to settle down or something along those lines. I always tell women, guys are looking for a relationship if it's the right woman. Doesn't matter what she does right or wrong. If you're the right woman with a lot of value and you're talking to a guy who has a healthy mindset overall for the most part, then it doesn't matter when you sleep with them. But at the same time, if you want to get a guy hooked, I am a big believer. See, I think this was going to work out either way, whether she slept with the guy or not. These are just two people who probably like it. Because if the guy's jumping into a relationship, it's either moving too fast and he's going to regret it and it's going to crash and burn, or everything just lined up. It's simple that, okay? So, that being said, ladies, I love you. Take care and peace.